Now let's get started.
Hey guys, it's Ray again. The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was released in 2005, and it was developed by Amaze Entertainment. Based off the movie, this game follows the events of the film pretty closely. You take control of one of the four main characters from the movie, starting off with Lucy, the youngest, as she discovers the wardrobe and its magical gateway to the land of Narnia. One of the first things that surprised me way back in 2005 was the sheer amount of combat involved. I wasn't expecting that at all. You'll be involved in quite a bit of combat throughout this game, and each character has their own set of combat mechanics. Lucy kicks, Edmund punches, Susan throws snowballs, and Peter uses a stick. Towards the end of the game, you will receive weapons such as swords and things of that nature as well. And these weapons seem to really increase your damage output, and that's always a good thing. It makes you feel like you're progressing with these characters throughout the game. Another thing that stood out to me was the soundtrack. Some of these tracks are pretty enjoyable and fit very nicely into the game's overall storyline and world. You'll get these abilities called nobilities. Once acquired, you'll have them to use at your disposal. These abilities allow you to jump over large gaps, another that grants you strength to move large boulders that block your way, and one that lets you sneak by enemies undetected, just to name a few of them. However, a lot of these are pretty situational, and honestly, I didn't use them all too often. Another mechanic that I found interesting was the weather, or rather, the cold meter. Since most of this game takes place during winter, your character's cold meter will deplete a bit over time unless you eat something warm or stand next to a fire to fill that meter back up. And I know, it sounds like it might be a little annoying to deal with, but it's not too bad overall. You'll find plenty of food items to keep you warm from defeated enemies, or by unlocking treasure chests throughout this world. This game is comprised of 17 chapters, so it's a pretty lengthy game, and while some chapters are a bit longer than others, none of them overstate their welcome, in my opinion. You can just pick up this game and put it back down, and then take a break, which works well here on the GBA. There's a handful of boss fights throughout this game as well. Most of them are pretty straightforward though, and they end up turning into a hit and run / dodge type of situation, but overall they're pretty satisfying. But the last boss fight, of course, is with the White Witch of Narnia, and I have to say it's somewhat of a letdown in terms of difficulty. She's on par with most of the other bosses you face, if not a bit easier than some, but hey, that's not always a bad thing. Once you break her magic wand as Edmund, you'll control Peter to finish her off, and the game ends shortly after that. It took me about 3 hours to complete this game. There were some times where I felt like I was lost and didn't know exactly which direction to go, but that didn't happen too often. All in all, this is a fun game here on the GBA, and if you're a fan of this movie, or an action fantasy fan in general, check this game out. I think you'll enjoy your time here